This video, I'm going to be showing you how to pass a prop firm challenge as fast as possible in 2025. If you just purchased the prop firm challenge and you're looking for how to pass it, make sure to stick to the end of this video because I'm going to be showing you one of the secrets of passing a prop firm challenge. So without wasting any time, let's get into it. So what you're gonna get in this video is I'm gonna show you the strategy that you can use to pass one, to pass your Profirm challenge, two, to keep you from blowing your Profirm challenge, and three, help you get consistent payouts even after passing the Profirm challenge. Now, these are the three things that most people struggle with. One is passing the Profirm account, right? So most of you just bought an account, or you're thinking of buying an account, or maybe you've bought an account already and you're in drawdown. Most people struggle with passing the Profirm challenge, and I can tell you this is one of the biggest problem. And to me personally, it's not really hard. People find it hard, but it's not really hard to pass a Profirm challenge if you do the right things, right? And you have some money in the bank to spare. Passing the Profirm challenge is not really that hard. I've passed Profirm challenges in the past. I think the first big money that I made from trading was from trading prop firms back in 2021, right? Some other prop firms that I used back then. Those prop firms are not around right now, but that was 2021. I don't know if those of you that are old in the game, you should know of funding, talents, and some other prop firms like that. All right, so passing a prop firm challenge isn't hard, but it becomes hard due to psychology and some other things that go behind the scenes, right? I'm gonna explain more of that. So the second thing is that I'm gonna give you the strategy that will keep you from blowing your account. Most of you just buy a profit and then in a couple of days you're blowing your accounts. Like that shouldn't be happening. You shouldn't. It should take you a lot of time. If actually you're gonna blow your profit account, it should take you a lot of time. Unless maybe you're trading like a very, very small account and it doesn't really have meaning to you or something. All right. But the strategy I'm gonna show you in this video is gonna keep you from blowing your profit challenge. The third thing is the strategy is going to help you get consistent payouts even after passing the Profirm challenge. Right? What most people don't know is the way you trade your Profirm challenge should be a little bit different from the way you trade your funded Profirm. That's when you've passed the challenges, step one and step two, and you go into the funding phase, right? The live phase. You should treat it differently from how you treat the challenge. That's what most people don't understand. So they pass the challenge and they get into the funding phase, and they try to make as much money as possible, which makes them blow their accounts. So passing the Profirm challenge is not the main thing. The main thing is after you've passed it, can you consistently get payouts after that? That is the most important thing. But at least when you pass it, you get your refund back. So if you don't know, when you pass the Profirm challenge, they refund you the money that you used to pay for the challenge when you reach your payouts day. Right. So the strategy is going to help you achieve these three things. And before we move on, if you're not in my Telegram community, make sure to join my Telegram community. It's a free Telegram trading community on Telegram. Just repeated myself, but make sure make sure you join if you're not in already. For those of you that have been watching my channel and you're not in already, make sure to join. Don't miss out on one. You're gonna get weekly educational content and updates inside the free Telegram. You're gonna get trade setups and analysis, direct access to me to ask questions. So if you want to contact me or you want to reach out to me and ask questions, you can reach out to me from the Telegram. You're gonna see my if you look here, you can see on DM you're gonna see my profile basically there. So if you want to ask questions, you can ask me questions inside there, or if you want guidance or anything. And then also don't miss out on promos, giveaways, and discounts, Profirm giveaways, and other promos that are going to be inside the Telegram. So make sure to join the Telegram. The link is going to be in the description below. Make sure to join the Telegram if you're not in. It's free. All right, let's continue. So now when you want to pass a Profirm challenge, what you need to understand is that one, you have unlimited time to pass. Like you have unlimited time to pass. You don't need to rush it. Most of you are trying to rush to pass your Profirm challenge because you feel like you don't have time. Why are you in a rush? Why are you rushing the process? Why do you feel that you don't have time? Why do you feel that you don't have time? I think the only way you can feel like you don't have time is if the money that you used to buy the Profirm challenge is money that you're meant to use, maybe something that you're meant to use to pay your bills, and then you risk the money and put in there. I mean, no risk, no Lambo, but but you shouldn't be doing that. You should be using money that you can afford to lose to buy all these Profirm accounts, right? Just like if you want to deposit into your broker to trade, you should put money that you can afford to lose so you don't feel pressured, right? So if you're gonna buy a Profirm account, use money that you can afford to lose. Like if you lose that money, It's not going to affect you. So that way, you're not going to be rushing to try to pass the profile challenge. You're going to take your time. All right. The second thing that you should understand is that you should not be hitting the daily drawdown. I don't know how some of you hit the daily drawdown. How do you do that? You shouldn't be doing that. I mean, I could understand if it was unconscious. Let's say unconscious. Uh you shouldn't actually be hitting this thing. Like, I don't know why you should be hitting this. The only thing that would make you hit this is maybe you were trading news, which you shouldn't be trading news, like NFP, FOMC, CPI, and then it skip your stop loss. All right. I think that should be the only way. But other than that, this shouldn't be hit at all. Your daily journal shouldn't be hit at all, or else you're over risking. That means you're not even treating the problem the right way. Thirdly, you need a solid risk management strategy. Risk management is the number one key here in passing problems or preserving your or not blowing the accounts, basically. Risk management. If you don't know how to manage your risk, that's the reason why you're going to be hitting the daily drawdown. It's because of you don't have risk management. If you have proper risk management, you cannot hit this. It's impossible. You can't hit this, right? Unless your risk management is bad, then definitely you're going to hit this. So you need to understand these three things. One, you have time, don't rush it. Two, you should not be hitting the daily drawdown. And three, you should have a solid risk management strategy if you at all you want to pass this perform challenge. All right. So how to pass the perform challenge in 2025? You need to use dynamic sizing or dynamic risk. What exactly is that? Understand that there are two types of risk. Some of you don't know that. There are two types of risk, right? There's static risk or static sizing, which is using a percentage that's using 1%. It's not, I'm not saying using 1%, I mean using a certain percentage, like one, two, it could be any number, right? Using 1% of risk consistently without increasing or reducing. So let's say you say you're going to be using 1% risk, you're going to keep on using the 1% risk, whether you're in profit or loss, right? Or if you're using 0.5, you'll be using the 0.5 without increasing it or reducing it. You're not going to drop from 0.5 to 0.4. You're not going to increase from 0.5 to 0.6. You just keep it static, right? That if you're risking 0.5, you're risking 1%, you keep it static, 1% risk throughout, whether you're in profit or loss. Right? So that is static sizing or static risk. The second type of risk is dynamic risk or dynamic sizing. This is changing your risk due to certain conditions, right? Could be different conditions. It's different for everyone, different for every strategy, right? So this means basically you're going to be varying your risk. You can also call it varying your risk. So some occasions you risk, or some situations you risk, or conditions you risk 1%. On a different situation you risk maybe 1.5% or 2%, or maybe lower than 1%, maybe like 0.7%, 0.75, 0.8, 0.5%. That is called dynamic sizing. Right, and it can be applied in different ways. It can be applied on your trade setup. You could, let's say you have two types of setups. You have an A plus setup and you have a B setup. On the A plus setup, you enter your full risk. Let's say your full risk is 1%. You enter your full risk 1% on an A plus setup. But on the B setup, instead of entering full risk, you enter 0.5% instead of 1%. That's a form of dynamic sizing or dynamic risk because you're changing the risk based off of the setting condition. Or what is the condition there? The A plus setup has a higher probability than the B plus setup. So you're varying the risk due to that condition, right? There also another way is when you're in profit or loss, your account size, the condition of your account size or your account balance can also lead to dynamic sizing, right? So there are different ways of doing dynamic risk or dynamic sizing. So if you want to pass a profit challenge, you should be using dynamic risk, right? Here's how to go about it. So if you want to use dynamic risk, here's how to go about it and pass a profit challenge. So that profit challenge that you just bought or you're about to buy or you're trading, this is what you should be doing when you're trading a profit challenge, right? So first of all, risk 0.5 when you're in drawdown. Once you get, let's say for example, you just bought a profit account, starting afresh, right? You have not touched the account, you have not placed any trade on the account. Let's say, for example, let me grab my pen for explanation. I got my pen. So let's say you bought a $100,000 profit challenge, or let's just make it simple. Let's say you bought 100K. Let's say you bought 100K challenge, right? You should be risking 0.5% when you're a drawdown. So there are two ways you can go about this once you have the fresh account like this. You either risk 1%. If you're aggressive, you can risk 1% right off the bat from this break even, right? So right now it's at break even, right? So you can risk 1% here. And if you lose, so basically that's going to be minus 1%, right? So now you're going to be at 99K, right? You're going to be at 99K. So from this 99K, since you're in drawdown now, you're going to be risking 0.5%. So 0.5% is what you're going to be risking. So if you lose, you're going to lose 0.5%. So that way, from this point here, or from this point here, if you're risking 0.5, also in this place, 0.5%, depending on where you start, right? So if you started from the 100K and you risk 0.5% instead of 1%, right? It's gonna take you 20 trades, right? 20 losses in a row, not 20 trades, 20 losses in a row. So basically, you take 20 trades, and that all the 20 trades that you took, all are losses. It's gonna take you 20 losses for you to blow this platform account, for you to go from 100K to what was a 10% drawdown, right? Let's say 10% drawdown, right? 10% drawdown. It's gonna take you 20 trades to hit this 10%. So you need to take 20 losses in a row for you to hit this 10% max drawdown. And for you to hit this with 20 losses in a row, then that means you are the problem, or your strategy is the problem, or something. Like, even if you have a bad strategy, I don't think you should be hitting this. Uh, I don't even know how that's possible, right? So you should not be hitting this if you're risking 0.5% from when you're in drawdown. So that way you're preserving your capital so you don't blow the account. If you're risking 1%, guess what? It's just 10 trades you need, and then you're gonna hit this, which most of you can lose 10 trades in a row without any, especially those of you that are not using proper risk management, where you're just entering stupid trades or trades that don't make sense. You're gonna end up hitting this thing. All right. Even with 0.5, you're taking stupid random trades that's that's not aligned with your setup, or you don't even have a strategy. You're just guessing, okay, maybe the market is going to go up and it's going to go down, and you expect to pass the accounts. It's not going to work like that, right? So from drawdown or from break even, risk 0.5%. The next thing is when you risk 1% when at break even or below 2%. Now, another way you can go about it is, this one is not when you're in drawdown. This one is when you're at break even, right? When you're at break even, you can either risk 1% or risk 0.5%, right? Me personally, I prefer 1% because you don't want to spend too much time. You don't want to spend too much time um on the challenge. Or what you could do is you could risk 1%, and maybe once you're up, maybe once you're up, let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. What you could do is you could risk 0.5%, 5%, right? And once you're up 1%, then you can start risking 1%, right? From that point. So that way, if you lose that 1%, you're still back at break even, right? The only disadvantage of risking 1% right at break even is that it's going to put you in drawdown, where you're going to have to now start trying to make up for that drawdown. It's going to put you in minus 1% drawdown, but you can risk 0.5% at break even, and once you're up 1%, then you can start risking 1%. So the 1% is going to give you that buffer so you don't enter into drawdown, right, or enter into large drawdown. Because some of you, the mistake that, not lasting mistake, that what happens to you is you enter drawdown, and then instead of you to stay calm and collected, you're gonna lose it. You're gonna get emotional, and it's gonna sink deeper. Your account's gonna sink deeper and deeper into drawdown until you eventually blow the account, or you get frustrated and do some stupid stuff. All right. So if you're below 2%, you can risk 1%, right? If you're below 2% profit, risk 1%. And then after that, once you're above 2% profit, right? Once you're above 2% or 3% profit, then increase your risk. You should not be using the same risk. Increase your risk to 1.5% or 2%. 2% max. Don't go past 2%, right? Do not go past 2%. Me personally, I would say 1.5 or 2%, depending on the account size. If it's a small account, I'll go with 2%. If it's a big account, I'll go with 1.5%. Right? If the big accounts for me is like 100K, 200K, right? Then the other ones I'll say I'll just risk 2%. Because if I lose the account, I can just buy another one. Right? So basically risk 1.5% or 2% once above 2% profit or 3% profit. Now, you're gonna pass the profit account faster if you do it like this. If you keep on risking 1%, it's going to take you a longer time. So if you want to pass it fast, increase your risk once you're up in profits, right? So, and if you go below this 2%, guess what? You take the risk back to 1%, right? But once you're above 2% profit or 3% profit, increase your risk to 1.5% or 2%. Now it will take you 2 consecutive wins from break even to pass a profit challenge using a 1 to 3 risk reward. Why? Because let's say you are break even, you risk 1%, right? On 100K. Let's say you have 100K, right? You have 100K, and then you risk 1% for a 1 to 3. So now you're going to be up. Let's say you win that trade, right? You win that trade. Now you're going to be up plus 3%, right? Now from this 3%, what do? Let's say you risk 2% from there, right? 2 times 3 is what? 6. So now you're going to be up plus, you're going to add plus 6%. 6 plus this 3, that's going to give you 9%, right? So you're already up 9%. Most of these programs, the challenge, the target to hit at phase one is 8% target, so 8% profits target, and you see you've already passed the account with those 2 consecutive wins. If you didn't risk 2%, you decided to risk 1.5%, what will be the results? You have 100K, right? You risk 1% to make 3%. Now you're up 3% plus 3%, right? And then your next trade, you risk 1.5% to make 4.5%, which is times 3. So plus 4.5%, right? So 3 plus 4 is going to give you what? It's going to give you 7. Sorry, I said 7. It's going to give you 3 plus 4.5% is going to give you, is this 7.5? 7.5%. Let me see. Well, yeah, 7.5%. 7.5%. All right. So you're just 0.5% from 0.5% away from passing the account, which you can just reach 0.5%, 1 to 3, and you've passed it already. Because 0.5%, just reduce your risk at this point because you only need 0.5% to pass it. You can just scalp, maybe just find the trade and scalp it, and then you've passed the challenge already. So basically, 2 consecutive wins to pass a profit challenge using a 1 to 3 risk reward, right? With the 1 to 2, it's going to take you a bit more trades, maybe like 3 more trades to pass it if you're using a 1 to 2 risk reward. So just put that into notes, right? The higher your risk reward, the better. And the easier it is to pass this profit challenge, right? So if you have a 1 to 1 risk reward, just know it's going to be very, 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 very difficult to pass a profit challenge using all this type of risk. You have to increase your risk drastically if you're using a 1 to 1, right? But if you're using a 1 to 2 or 1 to 3, 1 to 3, which is ideal, right? That's the best if you want to pass the profit challenge fast, right? So make sure to use this strategy to pass your profit challenge. Now, make sure that you're using a good prop firm. The prop firm that I'm using and I'm partnered with is for the next, right? They have an 8% profit target to pass the challenge. So once you hit the target on phase one, 8%, you would have passed phase one, and if phase two is either 4 or 5%, right? So make sure to use Next. That's the prop firm that I'm using. Link in the description to get the prop firm account. Also use the coupon code FNDanFX. If you use my coupon code, you're gonna get a 110 percent refund when you pass the challenge, right? So they're going to give you a refund plus 10% of your refund, the amount you paid for the challenge account. And also don't forget to join my free Telegram. The link is going to be in the description below. To get a profit account, the link is also in the description below. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, take care.